Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and today we're going to do a book review on Surrounded by Love, 7 Teachings from St. Francis by Murray Bodo, OFM. My Secular Franciscan Book Share has recently, completed this book. We do about a chapter a month. Sometimes it's only a half a chapter, because you'll see this is quite the skinny little book, but it is so packed. The wisdom of St. Francis is told by Murray Bodo. You really can't go wrong. Oh my goodness, the comparison there. Both such wonderful theologians and poets. So let's see here. Let's see. It is a 2018 book. I will tell you. Oh, let's start at the beginning. Let's do our little book walk first, because I didn't do a book walk on this at all. So let's do a book walk, and then we'll come back and do a little review later in the video. There were a lot of advanced praises. Remember, I've always said I kind of like to see who has given the reviews. So the first is Mary Beth Ingram. She's from the Franciscan School of Theology. Then we have Daniel P. Horan, and he is an OFM. He's another author. Casey Cole. You've probably heard of him on the YouTube videos Breaking in the Habit. Let's see. Brett Thompson, a secular Franciscan. He is an author as well. And the last one is another secular Franciscan, editor of CatholicMom.com and the managing editor of Today's Catholic Teacher. And they all really like this book. So let's see. It's by Franciscan Media, which is in Cincinnati, Ohio. The scripture passages are the NRSV 1989 edition. Let's see. The book was actually copyrighted in 2018, so it's fairly recent, right? Let's see, it's going to have acknowledgments, a preface, and then an introduction. The first teaching is the wonder of the Incarnation, which you know is so foundational to Franciscans. It's just a special love of ours. I'm sure all Catholics and Christians love the Incarnation, but for Franciscans, it's very special, the tenderness of the baby Jesus. The second teaching is the paradox of evangelical poverty. The third teaching is live the gospel. The fourth teaching is go and repair God's house. The fifth teaching, making peace. The sixth is God's house is all of creation. The seventh teaching, the joy of humble praise in service of God. And the last one is the teaching of teachings, love. Then, Appendix 1 is a chronology. Appendix 2 is a brief life of St. Francis. And 3 is the notes. So there's a lot here. The acknowledgments is actually fairly short, so we don't have to freak out over that section. Let's see. Who wrote the preface? The preface is 3 sheets. And that is just a little introduction. I believe it is by Murray Bodo, but he is just talking about how when he was young, it says, Jesus gave me St. Francis as my brother and friend, and I began to trade my own self-absorption for the adventure of the holy quest. And so it gives you a little bit of the history of Murray Bodo and his relationship with both Francis and Jesus. So then we start. So we're like, okay, so he's been following him, St. Francis, like his whole life. So this has been since he was a boy. So this is it's not just like an academic writing. It's not just a poetry writing. This is really him writing about a friend. This is what I've learned from my friend Francis about Jesus. And so that's a different angle than I think a lot of books take. Is Murray Bodo academic at times? Yeah. Is he a true poet at times? Yes. Is he a true author at times? He is all those things. But he's a friend of Francis, so he's going to write to you from that angle. So that's a different way of writing. And then you can see they're laid out very clearly, the chapter headers. There's no mistaking a new chapter. It's very clearly marked. Let's go in. Yes, I have highlighted things. The font is very easy to read. The spacing's good. Across the top, it does have the name of the book as well as the chapter over here. So the chapter titles. Remember when I said the first teaching was the wonder of the Incarnation? When you come over here, it says Jesus Christ is the fullness of the incarnation of God. So the chapter titles in the index actually have a slightly longer title when you actually get to the chapter. So that's a little unusual and surprising. At the end of every chapter, it's then the wisdom of St. Francis, and it's going to be various quotes. These ones are from the Rule of 1221, from the Letter to All the Faithful, Thomas of Celano's Second Life, Mirror of Perfection, and then this one includes a Christmas Psalm of St. Francis. So it actually includes that as well in the wisdom, because it's a little bit extra. So this one gave you a little bit bonus, a longer passage. Most of the wisdom of St. Francis passages are a very short quote or maybe a paragraph. Occasionally there is a longer one. Let's see. Okay, most of the other titles, chapter titles, seem to be exactly what they were. It's just that first one is different. It's kind of funny. Why is that first one different? I do not know. And again, these are all listed. Those citations are given even with page numbers. He tells you exactly where he got them. He does have other poets in here as well, you can see. Okay, and the last one, what is the chronology? The chronology is like Franciscan history, not strictly Francis, because Claire's involved too. It's just a year and a short sentence or paragraph what was going on there. And after that, then it's a super brief life of St. Francis. If you really want to know more about the life of St. Francis by Murray Bodo, you're going to want to read The Journey and the Dream. That is his epic of that. But he does give you, when he says brief, let's see, it's here. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. St. Francis in 4 pages. So if you need an overview, St. Francis in 4 pages is in the back. So the notes, he does have endnotes. We know some days I prefer endnotes. Sometimes I prefer footnotes. This one I'm okay with the endnotes. They're very clearly, it's like the last 2 pages of the book, so they're super easy to find. If you need them, you can flip there pretty easily. It's not like they're lost in the appendixes or something. And honestly, most of them, a lot of them I know what he's referring to, even with the footnote. So just being familiar with Franciscan writings, that can help. That some of them ring and you know what they are after a while. Okay, so that was the overview of the book. Now, that's what it's like reading it. So we did study it. I will tell you, if you're like a highlighter, colored pen, journaling kind of person, bring it, because this book is going to lend itself perfectly to a book study. Even if it's a personal study, you're going to need all your different colored pens and highlighters and notebooks. You're going to need all that. This book is so rich and so deep. Sometimes you can ponder like one paragraph forever. You're going to tie in references to other scriptures, to other writings, to moments in your own life. This book is so identifiable. You're going to see yourself in it. You're going to see times of your life. And it's going to spur you to other things, because sometimes in the wisdom of St. Francis, that end section, a section of those is going to jump out at you, and you're going to run and get your early documents, right? And you're going to look that bad boy up. So I hope you have your index volume, and we've discussed that before. I'm going to point up here, maybe I can link that, what I mean by the index and the early documents, because you're going to want to go grab those. You're going to want to go deeper. So yeah, you're going to discuss this book, but you may read something in the Testament of St. Francis and you're like, I have to read the greater context of this because it's so amazing. So you're going to want to go grab your early documents. Yeah, so hopefully you already have a Franciscan library. If you don't have a Franciscan library to look up some of these references, you want to find the website for the Franciscan Intellectual Tradition, and I'm going to be sure to put that in the description below, so to be sure to check that out. So if you have read this book or you have any questions about the book, put them in the comments below. And although I always forget to mention it these days, please, if you enjoy this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And God bless you, friends. Have a beautiful day. Oh yeah, totally recommend this book. It's deep, it's amazing, it's going to impact your life. I will say in my book share, there are those of us who are newer to St. Francis's writings and those who have been studying him for like 30 or 40 years, and everyone loved it. It's a beautiful book. God bless.